There were two kinds of kindness. Nathaniel Ashcombe had decided by the age of 34. There was the kindness people offered when they knew who you were, and there was the kindness they gave when they believed you were no one at all. The first kind had surrounded him since childhood. Servants opened doors before he reached them. Gentlemen laughed at jokes he had not meant to be funny. Mothers discovered unmarried daughters whenever he entered a ballroom. Men who privately despised him found his opinions remarkably sensible once they learned the exact acreage attached to the Ashcombe estate. Nathaniel had inherited the dukedom at 26. 8 years later, he had become very good at recognizing courtesy. He had become considerably worse at believing in affection, which was why, on a wet October afternoon, the Duke of Ashcombe was riding alone along the North Road in an old coat without a crest. He had told no one but his valet where he was going. He wanted one quiet afternoon without a groom behind him, without tenants bowing, without half the county knowing where the Duke of Ashcombe had stopped for tea. The decision nearly killed him. A pheasant burst from the hedge. Nathaniel's horse reared. The animal slipped on the wet stones, lurched sideways, and threw him hard toward the ditch. Nathaniel remembered the impact. Then water. Cold, black water filled his mouth. His shoulder had struck something beneath the surface. One boot was caught beneath a fallen branch. The more he pulled, the tighter it trapped him. He surfaced once, coughed, slipped under again. A woman's voice shouted from the road, "Hold still." Nathaniel would later think this a ridiculous instruction for a drowning man. At the time, he had no breath to object. Someone entered the ditch. Hands caught his coat. He surfaced again and found a young woman waist-deep in muddy water, fighting the branch across his leg. "Stop pulling," she ordered. "My boot, I know." She plunged both hands beneath the water. The branch shifted. Nathaniel tore his leg free. Together they stumbled toward the bank. He barely made it. By the time they reached the grass, he was coughing violently and blood was running from his palm where broken stone had sliced it open. The woman knelt beside him. She was perhaps 25, plainly dressed in brown wool, her cloak soaked through and streaked with mud. A basket of apples lay overturned on the road behind her. "You nearly drowned," she said. Nathaniel managed. "I had noticed." She stared at him, then, unexpectedly, laughed. It was not the careful laugh people gave dukes. It was the laugh of a woman who thought a wet, bleeding stranger had said something absurd. Nathaniel found himself smiling too. "Can you move your fingers?" He did. "Your shoulder?" Pain answered before he could. She frowned. "Probably bruised. Perhaps worse. Your hand needs binding." She tore a strip from the clean linen that had covered the apples. Nathaniel watched. "That appears to belong to you. It did 5 seconds ago. You're ruining it. I am beginning to suspect you complain professionally." No one spoke to him this way. Not anymore. She wrapped the linen around his palm. Nathaniel studied her. "You don't know who I am." "No. And you climbed into a ditch anyway. You were drowning." "That wasn't my question. It was my answer." Something inside him shifted. He had spent years surrounded by people eager to assist him, but no one had known there was a duke in that ditch. There had only been a man going under. "What is your name?" he asked. "Clara Bennett." "And where do you live, Miss Bennett?" "Hawthorne Cottage." The name stirred something in his memory. A small property beyond the village, once belonging to a schoolmaster. "I've heard of it." She raised an eyebrow. "You sound surprised. I've discovered gentlemen who ride horses like that one rarely know the names of small cottages." Nathaniel glanced toward his horse, now trembling near the hedge. "You think he's expensive?" "I think a man who puts a saddle like that on a cheap horse deserves a rest." Nathaniel laughed again. Clara finished the bandage. "There. What do I owe you?" Her expression changed. Nathaniel realized his mistake immediately. "Oh me. For the cloth. Your trouble." She stood. "Nothing. I can pay. I don't doubt it." That wasn't meant as an insult. "No. That almost makes it worse." She picked up the surviving apples. Nathaniel frowned. "I don't understand." Clara looked at him for a moment. "Not every good thing done for you is an invoice, mister." He had not given a name. The lie came too easily. "Gray. Thomas Gray." "Then perhaps, Mr. Gray, you might practice accepting one." She turned away. "Miss Bennett." She looked back. "Thank you." Her expression softened. "You're welcome." Nathaniel watched her walk down the road. He did not know then that Clara Bennett was on her way home to a house she was about to lose. He did not know that within 3 weeks she would enter his estate as an employee. He did not know she would come to distrust him more than almost any man she had ever met. And he certainly did not know that the woman who had dragged him from a ditch would eventually become the one person capable of forcing him to confront what fear had made of him. Ashcombe Hall was magnificent enough to make unhappy people feel ungrateful. 300 years of stone faced south across terraced lawns. The west wing held 42 rooms. The library required a ladder for the upper shelves. Portraits of dead Ashcombes stared from nearly every corridor with the expression of men disappointed that death had limited their ability to give instructions. Nathaniel returned that evening through the servants' entrance. His valet, Brooks, went pale. "Your Grace." Nathaniel removed the wet coat. Brooks stared at the bandage. "What happened?" "I fell into a ditch." "You fell into a ditch?" "There was also nearly drowning, if you require drama." Brooks shut his eyes briefly. "Who bound your hand?" "A woman." That got his attention. "Who?" "Clara Bennett." Brooks hesitated. Nathaniel noticed. "You know the name? Her father was once tutor to your late uncle, Your Grace." "Why did you not say so?" "You had not asked." Nathaniel was about to press him when a maid came running down the corridor. "Your Grace, Lady Rose is asking for you." Everything else disappeared. Nathaniel climbed the stairs immediately. His younger sister had been 17 when fever took most of her sight. Rose Ashcombe had once been the loudest creature in England. She had ridden too fast, argued too freely, laughed in church, and once placed a frog in a bishop's hat because she believed he had insulted her pony. Then came the fever. When it broke, she could distinguish light from darkness and little more. At 19, she became quiet. At 20, quieter still. By 21, she rarely left her rooms. Nathaniel hired physicians from London, Paris, and Edinburgh. Nothing changed. He hired companions. Rose dismissed them. He hired readers. She refused to listen. He bought instruments, books embossed for touch, music, dogs, even a small horse trained to walk beside a guide. Rose wanted none of it. When Nathaniel entered her sitting room, she sat by the window facing a sunset she could no longer see. "You are bleeding," she said. Nathaniel stopped. "How did you know?" "You smell like rainwater and iron." He sat opposite her. "I cut my hand." "Doing something idiotic?" "Probably." "Good." That was almost the old Rose. Then she said, "Mrs. Ellington left." His smile disappeared. "The latest companion." "How long did she last?" 6 days. "A record." "She spoke to me like a child." "She was trying to help." "She moved my teacup without telling me." Nathaniel leaned back. People thought blindness meant darkness. For Rose, it meant a world constantly rearranged by other hands. "I'm sorry. I threw tea at her." "I heard. It was cold." "That improves matters tremendously." Rose turned her face toward his voice. "You'll hire another." "I have to." "No, you don't." "Yes." Her mouth tightened. "I don't want another woman who says poor dear every 11 minutes. I'll specify 12. Rose almost smiled. Then it vanished. "Nathaniel." He waited. "I don't want to spend the rest of my life being managed." The sentence hurt more than his injured hand. He moved closer. "You won't." "You cannot promise that." "No." He looked at his sister. "But I can promise to keep trying." Rose sighed. "I wish you wouldn't." He knew she did not mean it. 3 days later, Brooks placed a stack of applications on Nathaniel's desk. Companions, readers, widows, daughters of clergy, educated women from respectable families with excellent references and absolutely no idea how badly Rose would despise them. Nathaniel read without enthusiasm. Then Brooks placed one letter apart from the others. Clara Bennett. Nathaniel looked up. She applied. "This morning." He opened it. Clara Bennett, 25. Educated at home. Fluent in French. Competent in Italian. Experienced with an elderly mother whose sight had temporarily deteriorated after illness. Seeking respectable employment immediately. There was a recommendation from the village rector and another from Dr. Havers. Why immediately? Brooks hesitated. Hawthorne Cottage is under threat of foreclosure. Why? Her father borrowed against it before his death. Miss Bennett has kept up the interest for several years, but her mother's recent illness consumed most of their savings. Who holds the loan? Sir Edmund Vale. Nathaniel's expression cooled. Vale was 48, wealthy, recently widowed and famous in county society for being charming to anyone richer than himself. Nathaniel had never liked him. How much? Brooks named the sum. Not large to Nathaniel. Catastrophic to Clara. Invite her. Brooks looked at the bandage still wrapped around Nathaniel's palm. For Lady Rose? Nathaniel gave him a flat look. No, Brooks. To advise the peacocks. Brooks remained expressionless. Yes. For Rose. Clara arrived at Ashcombe Hall without knowing that Thomas Gray belonged there. She also arrived determined not to be impressed. The second resolve lasted approximately 30 seconds. The entrance hall alone was larger than Hawthorne Cottage. A servant took her cloak. Another offered to take her gloves. Clara kept them. She had owned the gloves for 6 years. She did not trust a house this large not to swallow them. Brooks led her upstairs. His Grace will interview you. Clara stopped. The Duke? Yes. I was told the position concerns Lady Rose. It does. Then shouldn't Lady Rose interview me? Brooks looked at her. Something almost like approval appeared in his face. You may wish to suggest it. The library doors opened. Nathaniel stood at the far end wearing black. Clara entered, then stopped. For one disorienting instant, she thought Thomas Gray had somehow stolen the Duke's library. Then she saw the servants, the clothes, the bearing, the authority that required no announcement. She understood. Her face went completely still. Nathaniel dismissed Brooks. The doors closed. Miss Bennet. Clara said nothing. He gestured toward a chair. She remained standing. Your hand appears recovered, Your Grace. There it was. Not anger. Worse. Courtesy. Mostly. I am pleased. Clara, Miss Bennet. The correction landed cleanly. Miss Bennet. I owe you an explanation. You owed me your name. I was traveling privately. Under another man's. Yes. She nodded. And did you often lie in ditches pretending to be poor? Nathaniel almost smiled. He wisely did not. I did not plan the ditch. But the name? That I planned. Why? Nathaniel could have given the easy answer. Privacy. Security. Weariness with being recognized. All true. None complete. I wanted to know what it was like to be treated without my title attached. Clara stared. And what did you discover? That you climbed into freezing water for a stranger. Her anger flickered. You nearly drowned. I know. I tore apart one of my mother's best linen cloths because I thought you might not afford a surgeon. I know. I worried after I left. That surprised him. Clara looked away, angry at herself for admitting it. I wondered whether you reached home, whether your hand became infected, whether your shoulder was worse than it seemed. Nathaniel's voice lowered. I'm sorry. You offered to pay me. I didn't know how insulting that would sound. No. You stood there with enough money to buy half the village while I worried about the cost of linen. Nathaniel absorbed it. I behaved badly. Clara looked almost disappointed. You aren't going to defend yourself? Would it improve matters? No. Then I won't. Silence. Nathaniel picked up her application. You need employment. Her shoulders stiffened. I investigate anyone who may live with my sister, he added quickly. Brooks told me only what was necessary. How considerate. My sister Rose lost most of her sight 4 years ago. Clara's anger shifted. Not disappeared. Shifted. She has dismissed every companion I've found. Perhaps the problem is not the companions. Nathaniel blinked. Perhaps the problem is that you keep choosing them. You have known my sister exactly no minutes. I know she is 21 and her brother interviews strangers to decide who is allowed to speak to her. Nathaniel stared. Clara stared back. To his astonishment, he laughed. What is amusing? You. I am delighted to provide entertainment. No one speaks to me like this. Perhaps you should employ poorer servants. His laughter stopped. The remark struck closer than she knew. He studied her. Come meet Rose. Rose disliked Clara immediately. Clara considered this encouraging. You smell of rain, Rose said. So do you. Rose frowned. I haven't been outside. Then perhaps the room needs airing. Nathaniel, near the door, closed his eyes. Rose tilted her head. Are you always rude? Only when nervous. You don't sound nervous. I've had practice. Rose's mouth twitched. Clara noticed. She walked closer. May I sit? Everyone else simply does. That wasn't what I asked. A pause. Yes. Clara sat. Are you going to read to me? Do you want me to? No. Then no. Embroidery. No. Walks. If you ask. You're not very good at this. I haven't started yet. Rose turned toward her brother. Nathaniel. Yes. Go away. He hesitated. Rose heard it. You wanted me to choose, didn't you? I did. Then go. Nathaniel left. For the next 20 minutes, Clara and Rose sat without speaking. Rose lasted 18. What are you doing? Looking out the window. What is there? Rain. I know that. Trees. I know those too. Clara leaned closer to the glass. A peacock committing a moral crime against the gardener. Rose turned sharply. What? He has stolen something red. A flower. I think the gardener's handkerchief. Rose laughed. The sound was sudden and bright. Clara smiled. Now the gardener is chasing him. Describe it. So Clara did. Not like a nurse. Not like a governess. Like one conspirator reporting a crime to another. When Nathaniel passed the door half an hour later, he heard his sister laughing for the first time in months. He stopped. He did not enter. Clara accepted the position. Not because she had forgiven Nathaniel. She had not. She accepted because the salary gave her a chance to save Hawthorne Cottage herself. And because she liked Rose. Within 2 weeks, Rose began leaving her rooms. Clara did not seize her elbow unless asked. Instead, she described distances. 3 steps. Turn left. Chair behind your knee. Door frame to your right. When servants moved furniture, Clara made them put it back. When Rose wanted to descend the main staircase without being held, Nathaniel refused. Clara overruled him. You cannot overrule me in my own house. Then stop being wrong in it. She could fall. Yes. Nathaniel stared. That is your argument. People with sight fall too. Clara, you want her safe. Of course. She wants a life. Rose stood between them listening. Nathaniel's jaw tightened. You are responsible for her. No. I am employed by her. The distinction landed. Clara turned to Rose. Would you like to try? Rose lifted her chin. Yes. Nathaniel watched his sister descend 16 steps. Slowly, one hand on the banister. Clara behind her, but never touching. When Rose reached the bottom, she was trembling. Then she smiled. Nathaniel looked away. That evening, he found Clara in the library. You were right. She glanced up. I'll have Brooks record the date. Nathaniel leaned against a table. She hasn't looked like that in years. Clara softened. You love her very much. Yes. That can become a kind of blindness, too. He frowned. You see the dangers before you see her. Nathaniel said nothing. Clara closed her book. She knows she cannot see, Your Grace. She doesn't need everyone else reminding her every minute. Nathaniel. What? When we're alone. Clara's eyes narrowed. You may call me Nathaniel. I don't believe we're friends. No. Then why? Because I dislike hearing your voice turn into everyone else's. He did not say it. Instead, he said, because you once called me Thomas. That was your fault. Yes. She reopened her book. Good night, Your Grace. Nathaniel almost smiled. Sir Edmund Vale came to Ashcombe Hall in November. Clara saw him through the drawing-room doors and went cold. Rose felt it. What? Nothing. That was not nothing. Clara stood. I need air. She reached the corridor. Too late. Miss Bennet. Vale approached smiling. He was handsome in the polished way expensive furniture was handsome. You have been avoiding me. I have been working. At Ashcombe. His gaze moved over her dress. Clara hated that gaze. How fortunate. What do you want? My money. I have sent payment. A fraction. As agreed. Your father agreed many things. Clara went still. Vale lowered his voice. The cottage will be mine by Christmas. You said March. The accumulated interest has accelerated the balance. You cannot simply change the date. My solicitor believes the present terms permit it. Clara's hands tightened. Vale stepped closer. There is another solution. No. I haven't proposed one. You have been proposing it for 2 years without possessing the courage to use the word marriage. His smile thinned. You could do worse. I am looking at worse. Careful. Why? Will you take my house twice? A voice came from behind them. Is there a problem? Nathaniel. Vale's entire manner changed. Your Grace. He bowed. Clara watched the transformation. The same man who had leaned over her like an owner now became pleasant. Respectful. Warm. Nathaniel looked at Clara. She shook her head once. Do not interfere. He understood. He hated it. Vale smiled. Miss Bennet and I were discussing private business. Then private business should perhaps be conducted elsewhere. Vale bowed. Of course. He left. Nathaniel waited until they were alone. How much? Clara's face hardened. No. I can help. No. You may lose your home. It is mine to lose. This is pride. And yours is what? Nathaniel stopped. She continued quietly. You lied about being poor because you were frightened people wanted your money. Now money can solve a problem, and you cannot bear not to use it. That isn't fair. No. Her eyes shone. But neither is testing people when you never risk what they risk. She walked away. Nathaniel stood alone. That night he sent for Brooks. Find out whether Vale's claim is lawful. Brooks hesitated. Without Miss Bennet knowing? Nathaniel's first instinct was yes. Fix it. Quietly. Protect her. Then he remembered her face. No secret purchase. No payment. No approach to Vale. What may I do? Only examine public and professional records we are lawfully entitled to inspect. If there is information Miss Bennet herself could use, bring it to me. Brooks nodded. Nathaniel added, and if there is nothing, we do nothing. It was one of the hardest orders he had ever given. December brought snow. Rose insisted on riding. Nathaniel refused. Rose threatened to throw a vase. Clara suggested a sleigh. So the three of them went. Nathaniel drove. Rose sat beside Clara beneath blankets. For an hour the world became white and simple. No debts. No titles. No old suspicions. They stopped near a frozen lake. Rose wanted to walk. Clara guided her toward the trees. Nathaniel followed at a distance. Then came a crack. 1 second. That was all. The ground beneath Clara's feet was thin ice hidden under snow at the edge of a drainage pond. She fell through. Nathaniel moved before thought existed. He ran. Clara disappeared beneath black water. He dropped flat and crawled across the ice. Clara. Nothing. Then her hand broke the surface. He caught it. The ice cracked beneath his chest. Rose screamed from shore. Nathaniel pulled. Clara surfaced coughing. Don't let go. I wasn't planning to. The ice split. Nathaniel went in too. Cold erased the world. They fought through water and broken ice until his boots found mud. He pushed Clara ahead. Rose had crawled toward them despite being unable to see. Rose, stay back. I have the branch. She extended a fallen limb toward his voice. Nathaniel grabbed it. Together they reached shore. Clara collapsed. Nathaniel knelt beside her, shaking violently. Look at me. She coughed. Clara. Her eyes opened. You look terrible. Nathaniel laughed once in disbelief. Then she fainted. Clara woke in Ashcombe Hall. Fire. Blankets. A physician. Rose holding her hand. Nathaniel stood near the window with his right arm in a sling. What happened to you? He turned. You've been unconscious 14 hours, and that is your first question? You look worse than I feel. That is because you have not seen yourself. Rose squeezed her fingers. He dislocated his shoulder, pulling you out. Clara looked at him. Nathaniel looked away. You shouldn't have gone onto the ice. An excellent observation. You could have died. So could you. That is different. Nathaniel turned back. No. The word came sharper than expected. No, Clara. It isn't. Silence. Rose released Clara's hand. I suddenly remember an urgent appointment with absolutely anyone elsewhere. Rose. But she was already finding the door with her cane. The room closed behind her. Clara looked at Nathaniel. Why? Why what? Why did you do it? Something inside him broke loose. Because it was you. Clara stared. Nathaniel stepped closer. I am tired of pretending that sentence means less than it does. Her breathing changed. I think about you when you are not in the room. I hear your voice whenever I am about to do something arrogant, which is inconveniently often. My sister has returned to life because of you. My house feels different because you are in it. Nathaniel, you asked why I went onto the ice. He looked directly at her. Because the world without you in it suddenly seemed unacceptable. Clara's eyes filled. For a heartbeat, she looked as though she might reach for him. Then fear entered her face. Not fear of him. Fear of believing. You are a duke. I know. And I am your sister's paid companion. I know. And my mother's home may be taken. I know. She swallowed. Then how am I supposed to know this is real? The question cut him because it was his own question. The one he had built his life around. Nathaniel sat slowly. You don't. Clara looked at him. You don't, he repeated. Not yet. He did not touch her. I spent years demanding certainty from everyone else before I risked anything myself. Perhaps I deserve to live without it for a while. Clara's tears slipped free. Nathaniel looked away to give her the dignity of pretending he had not seen. I will not ask anything from you while you depend on this house for wages. I will not ask while Vale's debt stands between us. I will not ask while saying yes to me could rescue you. He reached the door. Nathaniel. He stopped. Thank you for coming onto the ice. He closed his eyes. You're welcome. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Over the following weeks, Clara noticed something strange. Nathaniel stopped trying to solve things for her. He did not ask about the debt. He did not send money. He did not summon Vale. He did not make grand declarations. He simply remained. When Rose practiced walking the garden paths with a cane, Nathaniel learned to wait instead of grabbing her arm. When Clara disagreed with him, he listened before answering. When servants spoke, he began asking their names. It did not transform him into another man. That would have been easy. It made him slowly more himself. And that was harder. Meanwhile, Brooks's quiet inquiry uncovered something. Years earlier, Clara's father had signed a loan agreement with a fixed ceiling on interest. After his death, the servicing solicitor had moved abroad. Vale's newer statements claimed a higher rate and an accelerated repayment clause that did not appear in the original register. Brooks found a retired clerk who remembered copying the instrument. The clerk still possessed a certified memorandum of the original terms. Nathaniel read the papers twice. Is it enough? Enough for Miss Bennet to challenge the foreclosure, Brooks said. Not enough for you to declare the matter settled. Good. Brooks looked surprised. Nathaniel almost smiled. That means the choice is still hers. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. 2 days before Christmas, Sir Edmund Vale came to Hawthorne Cottage. Clara met him in the small parlor. Her mother sat upstairs. The house smelled of dried lavender and wood smoke. Vale placed legal papers on the table. You have until noon. Clara looked at them. And afterward, I begin possession proceedings. You told me March. The revised terms permit acceleration. So you keep saying. Vale sighed. Must you make everything difficult? Yes. He studied her. Marry me. At last. The actual words. I will cancel the debt. Your mother remains here for life. You may resign your employment at Ashcombe. Clara thought of Nathaniel. The frozen pond. Because it was you. Then she thought of her mother upstairs. The cottage her father had repaired with his own hands. The apple tree planted on Clara's 6th birthday. Her sister's grave on the hill beyond the church. All the things money could save. And all the things it could buy. I need 1 hour. Vale smiled. Of course. He thought he had won. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Nathaniel arrived 40 minutes later. Clara stared when the Ashcombe carriage stopped outside. He emerged alone. No footmen. No Brooks. His injured shoulder still stiff beneath his coat. She went outside before he could knock. You shouldn't be here. I know. Then why are you? Rose told me Vale came. Clara shut her eyes. Rose. She threatened to disown me as a brother if I did not bring you something. Nathaniel reached inside his coat. Clara stiffened. If that is money, it isn't. He handed her a folded packet. She opened it. Read. Then read again. I don't understand. The original loan appears to cap the interest well below what Vale has charged. The acceleration clause on which he is relying is absent from the registered copy. Clara looked up. You investigated. Yes. After I told you not to interfere. Yes. Anger rose. Nathaniel did not defend himself. But I did not buy the debt. I did not pay Vale. I did not threaten him. I did not ask anyone to alter your position. Then what is this? Information your solicitor can verify independently. He pointed to the papers. Copies of the registered terms, a memorandum from the former clerk, and the name of a London barrister who has agreed only to tell you whether you have a case. You are free to use none of it. Clara's hands began shaking. You could have simply paid him. Yes. You could buy this cottage and forget the expense. Yes. Why didn't you? Nathaniel's expression changed. Because you asked me not to. Her throat tightened. And because I finally understood that rescuing someone by taking away their choice can become another way of deciding their life for them. Snow began to fall. Clara looked toward the lane. Vale returns in 20 minutes. Then I should go. She blinked. You're leaving? Yes. But, Nathaniel smiled faintly. This is your decision. He turned toward the carriage. Nathaniel. He stopped. Stay. He turned. She repeated it. Stay. So he did. Not beside her. Not in the chair at the head of the table. He stood near the doorway when Vale returned, far enough back that Clara faced the man herself. Vale entered smiling, then saw Nathaniel. His smile faltered. Your Grace. Nathaniel said nothing. Vale looked at Clara. Well, Clara placed the documents on the table. I decline. Vale's face changed. You have no idea what you're doing. I do. You will lose this house. Perhaps, but not on false terms. She pushed the copy toward him. Vale read the first page. Color drained from his face. This proves nothing. Then court will be educational for both of us. He glanced at Nathaniel. Has he paid you? Nathaniel's body went still. Clara stepped forward. No. Vale smiled cruelly. Then perhaps he intends to. The insult hung between them. Clara's face burned. Nathaniel could have destroyed Vale socially with one sentence. He remained silent. Because this was Clara's fight. She looked Vale in the eye. You mistake every human relationship for a purchase because buying is the only way you know how to keep people near you. Vale's smile vanished. You think Ashcombe wants you? Clara's heart struck painfully. Vale saw it. He will tire of you. Nathaniel still said nothing. Clara understood. He was giving her the choice he had promised. Perhaps, she said. Vale blinked. Perhaps he will. Perhaps he won't. Perhaps I will never marry him. Perhaps I will never marry anyone. She pushed the papers farther across the table. But whatever happens next will be mine. Vale looked at Nathaniel. Finally, Nathaniel spoke. Miss Bennet has made her position clear. Not my woman. Not under my protection. Miss Bennet. Her decision. Vale understood. He gathered the copies with stiff fingers. This is not finished. No, Clara said. It has only finally become honest. Vale left. The door slammed. Clara stood very still. Then her knees nearly failed. Nathaniel caught her. She laughed and cried at once. You said you wouldn't rescue me. I believe catching people who are falling remains permitted. She looked up. His arms were around her. Neither moved. Nathaniel. Yes. I cannot answer you yet. His face went still. Clara touched his coat. The dead is disputed, not gone. I still work for your sister. I still don't know what my life looks like without fear deciding it for me. Nathaniel nodded. I know. Aren't you disappointed? Deeply. She almost laughed. But I would rather be disappointed by your choice than comforted by taking it from you. Clara looked at him for a long time. Then she stepped away. It hurt them both. Which was precisely why it mattered. The case never reached a full trial. Once Clara's solicitor presented the registered loan and the former clerk's statement, Vale's own lawyer advised settlement. The inflated interest was removed. The foreclosure notice was withdrawn. Clara still owed part of her father's legitimate debt, but the amount was one she could repay over time from her own income. For the first time in years, Hawthorne Cottage was not safe because a powerful man had chosen to spare her. It was safe because the law recognized what she had always owed and what she had never owed. Clara returned to Ashcombe Hall after New Year. Rose met her in the entrance hall with a cane in one hand and an expression of great importance. I am dismissing you. Clara stared. Nathaniel, behind Rose, looked equally surprised. May I ask why? Because I no longer require a companion. Rose lifted her chin. I require a secretary. Clara's mouth twitched. What is the difference? More money. Less dignity. Far worse novels. Nathaniel began to understand. Rose continued. I intend to travel in the spring and study a raised letter system in London. I need someone to correspond with schools and physicians, read to me when I ask, leave me alone when I do not, and describe criminal peacocks when necessary. Clara smiled. That sounds exhausting. It will be. Rose held out a folded contract. The salary is higher than before. Brooks made certain it is proper employment and not charity. Clara looked toward Nathaniel. He raised both hands. I was specifically forbidden to interfere. Good. Rose sighed. Now that we have settled your professional independence, perhaps you two can stop behaving like tragic statues. Nathaniel closed his eyes. Rose. I am blind, not stupid. By March Clara had repaid another portion of the legitimate debt. By April her solicitor confirmed the cottage was secure under a new schedule she could meet without Nathaniel's assistance. On the first warm day of spring, Clara found Nathaniel in the stable yard. He was holding the bridle of an old mare while a young stable boy inspected a hoof. The boy looked terrified. Nathaniel was patiently explaining what to look for. Clara stopped. Months earlier, he would not have known the boy's name. Now he said, Peter, try again. The boy did. Better. Nathaniel looked up and saw Clara. Something changed in his face. It always did. He dismissed Peter. Clara approached. I have news. Good or bad? Good. He waited. My solicitor wrote this morning. Hawthorne Cottage is secure. Nathaniel smiled. I am glad. I owe you nothing. His smile faded into something quieter. No. I am no longer your sister's companion. No, I have independent employment with a terrifying woman who happens to be your sister. Very terrifying. And the debt no longer stands between us. Nathaniel did not move. Clara saw fear in him. Real fear. Not of rejection alone. Of asking without certainty. She understood then how much he had changed. The old Nathaniel would have arranged the answer before risking the question. This man had nothing arranged. Nathaniel. Yes. You still haven't asked. His breath caught. He stepped closer. There is something I need to say first. Clara waited. When I met you, I believe my great problem was that people might love the Duke of Ashcombe instead of Nathaniel. He looked down at the scar on his palm. So I lied because I wanted to meet someone without giving her the chance to count my money first. Clara said nothing. I thought that made me cautious. It made me unfair. I asked the world for honesty while protecting myself with deception. His eyes met hers. You saved my life before you knew my name. Then I rewarded you by giving you a false one. Nathaniel, no. Let me finish. She did. I cannot undo that. I can only promise never to test your heart again from behind a mask. He took a breath. And there is one thing I know without needing proof. Clara waited. I love you. The yard went very quiet. He did not kneel immediately. He did not reach for a ring. He simply stood before her. No debt. No employment dependence. No rescue. No bargain. Just the truth. Clara looked at him for a long moment. When I met Thomas Gray, she said, I thought he was irritating. Nathaniel's mouth twitched. He was. I worried about him anyway. He swallowed. When I discovered he was the Duke of Ashcombe, I thought I hated him. Reasonable. I tried very hard. How did that go? Terribly. He smiled. Clara touched the scar on his palm. The place where she had tied linen around the hand of a stranger she had dragged from cold water. I loved you before the frozen pond. He stopped breathing. I loved you before I knew what to do with it. Clara, but I could not choose you freely while I needed what you could give me. I know. Now I can. Nathaniel looked as though hope physically hurt. Then he knelt. Clara Bennett, knowing exactly who I am, what I did, how badly I handled it, and how likely I am to annoy you for the rest of your life. Will you marry me? Clara made him wait. 10 seconds. 15. 20. Nathaniel's confidence visibly deteriorated. A voice came from the stable doorway. 26. 27. They both turned. Rose stood there with her cane. Nathaniel stared. How long have you been there? Long enough to become embarrassed for you. Rose. 28. Clara laughed. Yes. Nathaniel looked back at her. What? Yes, I will marry you. Rose shouted in triumph. Nathaniel stood and kissed Clara while his sister complained that no one was describing what was happening. Asterisk, 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 they married in June. Not in the great cathedral Nathaniel's grandmother recommended. Not in London. Not beneath hundreds of candles and 600 curious aristocrats. They married in the village church near Hawthorne Cottage. Rose stood beside Clara. Brooks cried discreetly and denied it afterward. Clara's mother cried indiscreetly and made no attempt to deny anything. Hawthorne Cottage remained Clara's. Not because Nathaniel bought it. Because Clara fought for it. Vale left the county before autumn. Rumor said he blamed the Duke of Ashcombe. Nathaniel knew better. Clara had defeated Vale long before society turned cold toward him. His true defeat was that he had offered a frightened woman safety in exchange for ownership, and she had learned that uncertainty with freedom was worth more than security without it. Rose traveled to London, then Edinburgh, then, to Nathaniel's horror, Paris. Clara encouraged all of it. You are corrupting my sister. She was corrupted before I arrived. True. 2 years later, Rose established a small school on the Ashcombe estate for children who had lost their sight. Nathaniel funded it. Rose controlled it. The distinction was non-negotiable. As for Nathaniel, the servants noticed something changed after his marriage. He still looked like a duke. Still spoke like one when necessary. Still possessed the irritating ability to enter a room and make everyone stand straighter without requesting it. But he began learning names. Not because Clara instructed him. Because one morning he realized he had lived 8 years in a house full of people whose lives he knew almost nothing about. He discovered the youngest footman's mother was ill. That Peter in the stable wanted to become a farrier. That Mrs. Cooper in the laundry had 4 grandchildren. He discovered people became more interesting when they stopped being part of the furniture. And sometimes, when he forgot himself, Clara would catch his eye across a room. That look was enough. Years later, when their eldest son was 9, he came running into Nathaniel's study holding a torn hand. He had fallen from a garden wall. Clara followed. Nathaniel took one look at the blood. "You'll survive." The boy looked horrified. "Papa." Clara opened a drawer for linen. Nathaniel saw the cloth. White. Clean. For a moment, he was back on the North Road. Cold water. A basket of apples. A false name. A woman entering a ditch for a man she believed was nobody. Clara noticed his expression. "What?" "Nothing." She narrowed her eyes. "That is never true when you say it." Nathaniel smiled. Then he turned to his son. "Do you know how I met your mother?" The boy groaned. "Yes." "You've told him 70 times, Clara said. 71 will correct the details." "You lied to her." "I was mysterious." "You lied." "I was temporarily inaccurate." Their son began laughing. Clara shook her head. Nathaniel took her hand. The same hand that had once reached for a drowning stranger. He kissed it. Their son made a disgusted sound and escaped. Clara watched him run. Then she looked at her husband. "You were going to tell him the story again. It is an excellent story. You make yourself sound better every year. I am the Duke. History is traditionally kind to us. Not while I'm alive." He smiled. "That is why I married you." Clara leaned against him. Outside, afternoon light spread across the Ashcombe gardens. Somewhere beyond the windows, Rose was arguing with a teacher. Children shouted near the stables. A dog barked at something that did not deserve it. It was not a quiet house anymore. Nathaniel loved it. For years he had believed the greatest danger in life was being valued for what he possessed instead of who he was. He had been wrong. The greater danger was becoming so afraid of false affection that you refused every chance at the real thing. He had disguised himself because he wanted to know how Clara Bennett would treat a man who had nothing to offer her. She had answered before she even knew there was a question. She had entered freezing water. She had torn good linen for him. She had helped because he was drowning. Nothing more. Nothing less. But Nathaniel eventually understood that Clara had not been the only person tested that day. He had been tested too, not on whether he could recognize kindness. That had been easy. His test was whether, after finding it, he would have enough courage to trust it. That had taken considerably longer. Fortunately for Nathaniel Ashcombe, Clara Bennett had always been unusually patient with injured men, even when the wound was pried, even when the bandage required years, and especially when the man in question complained professionally.